Hello, it is 9 p.m. in Djibouti. It's time to English New Edition. And for headlines, we have in the National Assembly, the plenary session is on government policy. For international scene, the Democratic Republic of Congo to receive Ebola vaccines this week. Welcome to our newsroom. As a preamble to the general policy statement, the government before elected the Prime Minister Abdul Mohammed highlighted the great progress with the participation of women in this assembly, with at least 25% institutionalized. This morning, during the sessions of the national elected representative, the member of government discussed the three main objectives of the government programs for 2018. The first is the economic development of the whole country, fast and deep, which differentiate us from neighboring regions. The second objective was the permanent revival of social development to involve the entire population, including the most disadvantaged, in benefit of the fruits of growth. The third priorities, and not least, is the improvement the quality of life often invited, which makes each inhabitant feels happier in Djibouti. The pursuit of economic effort through the visions of the President of the Republic was also widely argued positively. The exchanges have the unbalanced contract. The state which had the benefit DP war in the early 2200, our country had terminated this contract, and the parliamentarians this choice. In addition, the implementation of the decentralization progress has also been an element of exchange between parliamentarian and member of government. Many of whom have stepped up the plate. They have also approved the main orientations of the government program. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, has launched yesterday trainings in professional English initiated by His Excellency Ismail Margele, President of the Republic, for the benefit of 600 young Djiboutians selected for a period of 6 months. The Minister was accompanied by MINFOP Secretary General Mr. Mohammed Abdallah Mahyoub and General Abdul Qadir Hamid. Upon his arrival, the minister was received by the directors of Oxford Trainings and Consultancy Institute, Mr. Rabli Ali Mohammed. Then the minister and his delegation turned to the training rooms to see the quality and rigors of professional English sessions. It must be said that this professional English aims to develop professional English language skills in area as human resources management, hotel and restaurant tourism and logistics. It must improve employability and the socio-professional integrations of young graduates.
Period of time. I am well versed in English, and I have over 18 years experience teaching. I have taught English abroad for 6 years. And my first impression of the students is very good. They're very bright and very sincere students. They are full of energy, and they're very poised and well-spoken. I'm excited to be part of this endeavor, and I'm excited to help them use English in their particular job and vocation.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Al-Mauki, participated yesterday at the closing ceremony of the activities of medical caravan began a week earlier. Indeed, after the regions of Dakhil, it was the turn of Ali Sabih region to host the medical surgical caravan that has just in Ali Adde. The closing ceremony took place in front of the Ali Adde Health Centers, which was recently renovated, whose technical performance has also been improved, accompanied by the Member of Parliament Sikiye, and Mr. Ilmi Uwais, Executive Secretary of Honors Mr. Hussein Hassandra. The Minister of Health was received by honors by the Prefect of the Al Civil region, Mr. Muhammad Waberi Asowe, the President of the Regional Council, Mr. Umar Jama, and by the Sub-Prefect of the locality of Ali Adde, Mr. Shaban Dahar Musa. A huge crowd of notables, local figures, and anonymous people has gathered massively to welcome the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Al-Malkiye, and the delegation accompanying him. The ministerial delegation was therefore willing to make a memorable crowd plunge among the people of Ali Adde, who had in large numbers to attend this colorful event. Men, women, children, more than thousands of them came to the share of the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Al-Malkiye, as part of this festive ceremony that is enlivened by traditional song and folk dances. The Prefect of the region took the floor to welcome the Minister of Health and his delegation. He immediately stressed the importance of this medical caravan for improving the health of these inhabitants. As for him, the Member of Parliament Abdul Sik was totally delighted that Ali Adde locality benefit greatly from the benefit of the government actions that stems directly from the policy of the Head of State Muammar Ghele. For his part, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Al-Malkiye, present the objectives of this medical caravan that correspond, he said, to the guidelines of the roadmap issued by the President of the Republic and the Head of Government, Muammar Ghele. The Health Ministers also said that the priority was also reserved for the mothers and child. This is in accordance with the instructions of the First Lady Khadra Mahmoud Haid. Finally, the ministers and this singularity instructions to Ali Adde, which for than 20 years has hosted a large refugee community, having of peace, strong senses of sharing fraternal coexistences. After the speech, the Minister of Health proceeded to the delivery of 2 new vehicles for benefit of the population of this locality of Ali Adde. This is a brand new fully equipped ambulances and a new vehicle for the mobile team. Subsequently, a large of food, dates and blankets, mosquito nets were hand delivered to the local authority by the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Al-Malkiye. To end this event, the Minister has not failed to remind the local authority to ensure that the distributions of these goods and the materials is done fairly and with special attention of absolute priority in favor of the poorest households. Also, during the closing ceremony, the Minister of Health and his delegations were invited for a visit to the consultation rooms to learn about the activities of the caravanners of health that take place in the newly renovated premises of the Ali Adde Health Center. It will be remembered that these medical specialists have been working for more than a week at Ali Adde to offer residents free quality specialized in the area of such as stomatology, ENT, pneumology, pediatric dermatology, ophthalmology and cardiology. The Minister reviewed with all the medical specialists the praised for their perseverance, professionalism and innate senses of duty. Then, on the schedule of the ceremony, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Al-Malkiye, went to meet the locals and notables of this locality of Ali Adde. The objective of this meeting is to discuss an exchange with the wise peoples of the region on the preponderant questions that are preoccupied by the inhabitants of this region. This consultation with the Minister of Health has mobilized more than 100 notables frank of indirect dialogue, a real exercise of participatory democracy that was appreciated and welcomed by all stakeholders who have expressed their concern for the general interest of this region on behalf of the population. The villages of Ali Adde thanked the places of the heritage Ismail Margele, whose vision is enlightening, has many benefits to the Egyptian population as the inhabitant of Ali Adde. The Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Al-Miki, thanked the audience for the responding much of this appealing. He is asked for thanks to the people of Ali Adde for their massive mobilizations at the closing ceremony. Finally, the Minister of Health take to note of all the grievances expressed, which will, he said, be transmitted to the members of the government so that they can respond as soon as possible. As part of the proximity visit to the population is the remote area after the gases in the region of Ali Sabih, the Minister of Decentralization, Mr. Hamadou Mohamed Aramis, and the General Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Ms. Muna Usman Aden, made yesterday morning a joint mission in the backward courses of Dhaka in the region of Dakhil. After a brief interview with the prefect of Dakhil, Mohamed Sheikho, and the prefectures of the region, the delegation took the directions of Harugo on the Dhaka 2 hours drives from Dakhil. The purpose of this scheduled work visit was think about the impact of these actions carried out in the Harugo, Adailu, Abida, and the two ministries which complement each other with the fight against poverty and social protection for social, and the bringing of administrators closer to administration for decentralization. We're concerned with absorbing the situations of the population, discussing problems of local development, as well as to list to and collect their grievance and their specific need in order to provide rapid responses likely to improve their condition. The delegation to grant a food donation and material to open up the route of Dhaka, Harugo, Adailu, and Bida. The prefect of Dakhil accompanied the joint ministerial who held meetings under the Harugo tree in the Dhaka route. On behalf of the population, he congratulated the two ministers, Muna Usman Aden and Hamadou Aramis, who made a long trip from Djibouti and 2 hours of difficult track to reach Harugo and discuss development problems in the remote area. Papyrus problems are very accentuated. For the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Ms. Muna Usman Aden, underlined this meeting with the populations of Harugo. The programs between the department is intended to reflect on a large local development in consultation beneficiaries and see how to launch other specific program activity to find ways and means to improve the conditions of remote populations. The Minister of Decentralization, Mr. Hamadou Mohamed Aramis, announced the grievance formulated during the presidential campaign and the commitment made this last visit to Harugo were partially realized. The realizations of the hydraulic work in Adailu and Bida within the framework of the project progress under the tutelage of the Ministry of Agriculture. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim is the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, accompanied by the Chief of the Defense Staff, Brigadier General Tahir Ali Mohammed, and a strong delegation yesterday flew aboard of 2 helicopters. First, the Hassan Guled Military School in Holhol, then the Ali Sabih Battalions, Inter-Battalions Camp, Bias, and finally Said 7's instructions in the Dakhil region. This marathon days is part of the inspection visit planned by the general majors in the various training centers of the armed forces. The Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, through the locality of Alu where the trainings of military school of Holhol, headed by the commanders Mr. Mohammed Jama' Qayad, carried out a combat maneuver. General Zakaria made a furtive stop to inquire about the situations of young recruits so as not to disturb the current exercise. Then General Zakaria Kuwait Al-Aziz Sabih were the head of the combat joint battalions of Ali Adi, the Colonels Abdul Wasi Muhammad then, and the Prefect Mr. Wabiri Muhammad Asowe welcomed the General Zakaria and his delegations at the front of the helicopters. After they picked the installations of the helicopter, the Siamga conducted a review of the troop where all the trainees welcomes him. Then Colonel Abdul Wasi Muhammad projected to the General Zakaria presentations of the young recruit. Then the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces attended various workshops attesting the acquired knowledge of the military, namely the armament workshop and the disassembly, the reassembly of the collective weapons, the individual weapon, and he was also able to see the handling of casualty who was by his command the comrade during simulated engagement of the enemy. Finally, General Zakaria was shown demonstrations of hand-to-hand combat. This demonstration was followed by a parade. This stop at Ali Sabih finally closed with a buffet offered in honor of the General Staff, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, during the folk dances and performed. On this occasion, two young recruits conducted two poems in Afars language and others in Somali language to the glories of the country. The day continued with the stopovers of the training camp in the Dakhil area. The last legs of the inspection visit on his descent from helicopter General Zakaria Ibrahim was met by Colonel Idris Umar, the Joint Regiment. The Chief General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim proceeded to review the troop aligned for this ceremony. Then he greeted the delegations accompanying him and followed the explanations of Colonel Idris Umar, who explained the content of the courses and practical exercises given to trainees. He recalled that this was inaugurated in 2013 following the initiative of the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. This camp was entirely realized by the Riyadh with the financial support of the military command. After the ceremonial, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim held the poems, writings, and present by the younger recruit. This text describes the importance of military training for safeguarding territorial integrity and national sovereignty. The poems were read in three languages of the countries: Afar, Arabic, and Somali. Then come traditional dances and song, the memory of the poor who offered their lives to the independence and freedom. Then General Zakaria attended a sketch of the unity of the countries and solidarity of the brothers armies who served together under the same flag before joining his headquarters. General Zakaria and faces to interview with the with the notables of the region and suggests they collaborate with the IDF all area in the names of freedom, equality and peace, mottos of our dear nation.
solana ku seexdo ku soo toosay weeyaane waxba gobaygu inuu ila durkine waxaan ku soo gaabshay kitaab iyo waxaan haysanaa diin dhammaystirane waa inaan digriga haysannoon daayin barinaaye.
It is with the greatest sadness that we learned the death of Madam Hasna Khairdon Barkhadeh in Djibouti in the military hospital Omar Hassan al-Bashir. The deceased was born in Djibouti in 1948 and was the bride of Ilmi Ali Arte, former member of parliament, and all two were two activists for the independence of our country. The deceased has left behind him his husband and 11 children and 58 small children, which the second consulars of the embassy of Djibouti in Brussels, Mr. Abbas Ilmi Ali. And concerning the international scene, the Democratic Republic of Congo to receive the Ebola vaccines this week. The heads of the World Health Organization said Sunday there was been another reported cases of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and that an experimental vaccine to fight the disease is expected to become available in the countries this week. Dr. Tedros Adhanom, on the two visits of the Democratic Republic of Congo, said the suspected new cases was in Bokoro, the center of the latest Ebola outbreak in the country's northwest, where so far 18 people have died. It brings to 53 numbers of the reported cases, including 2 confirmed according to the WHO ad hoc. The WHO is planning the beginnings of a vaccinations campaign in the area near the borders with the Republic of Congo, using unavailable stock pills and experimental vaccines. After meeting with the doctors, Democratic Republic of Congo President Joseph Kabila in Kinshasa, the WHO chief faces the government is very strong leadership in responding the health crisis and its good coordinations with the partners such as UNICEF and Doctors Without Borders. The clashes of multiples at the borders between Gaza Strip and Israeli, with at least 52 deaths on the Palestinian side on Mondays. The demonstrators protesting against the inauguration of the new U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. Our anger is worth to risks as Ahmed thousands of Palestinians gathered at the border between the Gaza Strip and Israel on Monday to protest against the opening of the U.S. embassy in Jerusalem. Expected the clashes have for the moment caused the death of 52 Palestinians, according to a balanced sheet news released after 17 hours French times. In the afternoon, the American embassy has been inaugurated, in particular by the Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner's daughters and the brothers of the son-in-law to the American President Donald Trump. Hundreds of dignitaries of the two countries were present at this ceremony, which is Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister. And this is it for tonight's edition. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.